Video game bang, video game bang, video game bang. Video game. Mega brand. Live from the sack, it's the livest. In fact, I'm putting rhymes on this track to put my guys on the map. Updates, geek news, tech talk, and reviews. They can summarize it so you ain't gotta breeze through. Listen once and you're forever fans. And I'm not saying it because their theme song features Mega Ram, the ultimate source of all geek media. Other podcasts, they just don't match up. Need proof? You can check the archives and catch up. Stats off the chain, we have rearranged the game. It'll never be the same. Now it's time to feel the bang.
What is up, my pizzas? Cory Vincent here. Video Game Bang is back after a week off. Life happens, man. Life happens, you know? So here I am, growing older all the time, looking older all the time, feeling younger in my mind with my best friends. Curtis, what's going on, man?
Man, just sitting up here watching you enjoy getting older all the time and being a father, man. It's been awesome to see all your posts. Takes me back to when my girls were young and all small and squishy. Yeah, man, it sent me back down memory lane. So it's been cool, man. Outside of that, just been, staying safe, taking walks, staying away from large groups of people, reading comic books,
That's all you can do. That sounds like the American dream right now. Who would have thought? You're doing your part.
Call me Dusty Rhodes.
Call me Dusty Rhodes. I dined with kings and queens and ate pork and beans. Speaking of which,
that's right.
He's back. He's got himself a nice little quarantine haircut. If you could see, if you're watching us on the old Twitch machine, David Webb. What's going on?
What's up, everybody? Doing the same. Working, trying to stay away from large crowds. My big outing is Home Depot now. I was pretty excited to go to Home Depot. I work from home, so I don't get out, and so it's like we had to go to Home Depot over the weekend. And my fiance is like, "Come on, I want to go." I'm like, "This is like the highlight of my week right now."
I gotta say,
getting out here.
I'm really proud of you, David, because of all of the people in my circle, I would assume you would be the one to break the quarantine to get your hair done, because you've had the longest history of going to like premium haircut places. You're the one that kind of got me into it, because I'd see pictures of you on Instagram holding a beer, getting your haircut. So I was like, all right,
yeah.
this man likes his haircuts, and the fact that you didn't break quarantine and you attempted to do it yourself, I'm pretty damn proud. What's the story?
So it's not. I appreciate the pride, but I feel like it's undeserving, because if there was one open, I would have gone to it. I would have broke quarantine. So
is that why your face turned when I told you that Bishop's was open?
Yeah.
His face got really serious for a second. He's like, really? Yeah.
Son of a bitch. No, so yeah, I my hair kept getting longer and longer. I got it cut in the beginning of the quarantine because I had engagement pictures. So I'm like, my hair is not going to be messy for engagement pictures. So, but it was like early stages of quarantine, so I was just like, whatever. But it kept getting longer and longer, and I was like, I can't do this. So I kept telling Marissa, I was like, I'm gonna shave it. I'm just gonna take the clippers. I'm just gonna all one length. And she's like, no, don't do that. She's like, so she talked to her friend who does hair, and she was like, okay, start with like a 6 on top and a 3 on the sides, because if you mess up with that, then it's gonna be okay. Like, worst case scenario, I'll come over and fix it. So we're like, okay.
She had a
so
safety
we look
net.
at my clippers. There's a safety net,
Yeah.
right? My clippers don't have numbers on them, so I had to like Google. Like, okay, I think 12 millimeters. I think that's a 5. Let's try it. It was not a 5. It's like a 4, maybe.
Is that what you got right now on the top there?
Yeah. I mean, this is like 2 weeks later, so it's a little more grown out. But yeah, no, I'm just kind of leaning into it. It's my apocalypse haircut. I feel like in the apocalypse, they always like buzz their hair super short so it doesn't get in the way.
Yeah.
So I got the buzz hair and then the beard growing. So, yeah.
Well, that's the way it goes in quarantine, man. Everybody feels it. I had 2 weeks off from the show. we had our baby on May 3rd. It was daunting. You know, it's been coming. Obviously, you have 9 months to kind of get prepared, and leading up to the last couple days, you start thinking like, wow, this is a really big deal. You know, like it could happen any time, and then once it does, like everything's gonna change. And we went in to just have a normal appointment, and my wife had some symptoms where they were like, you should just go in. It's time. You got to go. So pack up all your shit and go to the hospital at 5. And we ended up being there for about 3 days before the baby came. It was very difficult, very scary at some points, but ended up with a very healthy baby girl. I didn't know they did like a scale, like they rate your baby when it's born. It's called the APGAR score, APGAR test. I don't know. I didn't research this. I didn't do anything. And it's a scale of 1 to 10. And she came out a 9, you know, so there's still room for improvement, but you know, she's perfect. Everything I hoped for, could have envisioned. I was telling these guys, it's like a different adventure every day. I'm starting to get back into work, starting to get back into playing games again. But most of the time, it's just out there just kind of experiencing this new area of life. So thanks, everybody, for the kind words. I've already broken one of my rules. I was like, I'm not going to really do too much with her on social media. And I pretty much posted every single day just because she's so damn cute. But I'm getting better. I'm starting to ease off the pedal there. But it's amazing. It's everything everybody says it's going to be, which I thought was kind of the one thing everybody who, you know, has kids or had kids recently would try and give you little tips. You know, when you get a second alone with them, they'll be like, start sleeping now, take those naps. And you're like, yeah, whatever. You just say that. No, it's for real. Babies are super crazy. They're stressful, but then they just have to look at you and give you like one little goofy smile and then you're good. I also like my biggest fear, and other people, you know, may be able to relate, maybe you can't, but I was not experienced with children whatsoever. Like I would only hold a baby if I had to. I'd never changed one diaper until my baby was born. I'd never been thrown up on. I've never been pooped on, peed on. That happens on a regular now, and you just got to get used to it. And that's kind of been like the biggest learning curve for me, and just getting comfortable with that whole thing. But it's kind of weird what it does to you. You really can't explain it. It is what people say. You know, when the baby comes out and looks at you for the first time, it's like one of those moments that is etched. It'll never go away. It's like, you know, your wedding day. It's like those biggest moments. And so it was really cool to have that again. Not to say it's like, you know, reason for living, but it's kind of like a whole new reason for living. It's kind of hard to explain. And so just thanks, Curtis, for holding down the fort. David, you guys keeping the show alive while I was away. I'm just excited. We missed we missed 1 week, and now there's so much to talk about and to go through. And the first thing I wanted to talk about, which was what I led with, Tony Hawk Pro Skater Remake. That was the most unexpected, happiest news. I think it happened on Tony Hawk's birthday. He tweeted the trailer, and the internet just went nuts. It was so exciting just to see that this game meant as much to everybody as I think it did to me. I want to hear Curtis's thoughts, because I don't know if you've ever talked to us about your experience with Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but I know you were actually in that scene for like years. Did you ever play the game? And
yeah, I played the game a lot. It was you know, it was fun for me too, doing all the crazy tricks that you know, that I couldn't do in real life for the most part, even when I got as good as I got at skateboarding, which was pretty good. Couldn't do all that stuff. But yeah, man, it was, you know, naturally it was really cool to see that. Brought back a whole bunch of memories. I'm sure they're going to do a really good job with it too. And with all the, you know, the game Skate that had come out, which kind of had been like, as the Tony Hawk games kind of started to fall off in quality, that game came out and kind of was the go-to game for skateboarding. I think it'll be fun to have that game back. I actually watched this YouTube channel called Rad Rat, And he, before this even got announced, he was doing a series where he was going through and trying to like accomplish all like the side missions and stuff like that. So it was really interesting. And then I went and I saw that Tony had invited a lot of the skaters that had been in the game to the barracks. Wow, how am I forgetting his name? Anyway, Steve Barra. His place had invited a bunch of people, so I got to see like naturally Chad Muska was there, Elisa Steamer showed up, of course Rodney Mullen was there, who could still skate. It's crazy, but he had all those people there. Not everybody showed up, but they like people were going in and asking him questions, you know what I mean? Like Rodney Mullen, like how are you the most technical skater and you invented the kick flip and the heel flip, but you have the lowest rating ever in the game? So yeah, so it was fun to see all that stuff. But yeah, man, I'm as someone who, you know, I still go out and I still skateboard, you know, not as much anymore, and I don't do as much of the tricks as I used to and stuff, but I still grab my board, I still go out, I still go to the skate park and pump around in the bowl and stuff like that, and you know, have to ice my thighs for 2 days later because I ain't got it like I used to. It was a pretty joyous thing to see.
See, you actually got to live it. That's amazing. I just only played it digitally. If I actually skateboarded a third the amount of hours I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, I could be a professional. I put so much time into that game. Every song in the soundtrack lyrics have just been burnt into my head, where just it could be one of the more obscure ones. It comes on if I ever hear it in the wild, it's just like, oh shit, how do I know? It's a Tony Hawk song, isn't it?
Tony Hawk, yeah.
Goddamn Tony Hawk song. My guy was Chad Muska. I don't know. I dug the vibe. I didn't know anything about any of these guys. I knew nothing. I just
Ghetto Blaster.
Exactly.
Ghetto Blaster.
He's the guy with the boombox and the red tank top. I was so into it that at that time when I was like in middle school or whatever, or high school, and I got to go to the store to get some like nicer shoes, I went to the Big Five. They had like a skater section, and I just knew Circa because of Chad Muska, and I made sure I got those shoes just because that was the character in that game that I identified with. David, did you
the circus?
Yeah, the circus. Did you play the game, David?
Oh yeah, I played that game a ton. I don't remember who I played with the most, but I remember I played that game so much. Mainly the first one more than the second one, but like the first one, I mean, it would be. I remember specifically on some of the levels where you had to like score a certain amount. It was like I knew like, okay, I have to hit this move, and if I don't do it, I got to pause, restart the level, try again. And it was almost like to the song, like I have to hit this move at this point in the song, otherwise I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
And no, it was just same way. It was just like the songs like just stuck in your head. Yeah. So I'm stoked. I'm really excited for this game.
I feel I've been on the skate bandwagon. Anytime there's been an E3, I'll be the first one to hop on the hashtag Skate4. We'll bring it, you know, where is this? But I'll be completely honest, I was short-sighted. Once I saw this news, someone tweeted something about Skate4, and I was like, get that bullshit out of my face. We're getting Tony Hawk 1 and 2. I don't give a shit about Skate4 anymore. This is all I wanted.
Well,
go ahead.
I'd say I think it's, you know, nobody ever thought that we would get another Tony Hawk game, let alone a remake of the Tony Hawk game. So Skate was the best we could get.
Yeah.
So it's like let's push for a new Skate game, and that can kind of quench our nostalgia as best as it can. And then now that Tony Hawk is coming out, it's like Skate who?
Exactly. And what's cool is what's a little interesting is that they're not going to like, or they're aging the characters, the players. So all the roster is going to be like in their 40s and 50s. They're being recreated to be like themselves. And I guess Tony Hawk like just turned 52. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Oh, popping a leave in between rounds.
Yeah. Speaking of that epic soundtrack, obviously the GOAT has got to be Superman by Goldfinger. Undisputed. Yeah. No one's allowed to have a differing opinion on that one. I think that is like the song of the soundtrack. But are there any other ones that stuck out to you guys?
You know, I'm sure if I heard them, they would, but the gold like Superman was just is such an iconic one, and every time I could go in and make it play that one, I would. So it's like I just remember that one so vividly, it kind of overshadows the other songs to me, at least.
What do you think, Curtis? Do you have any favorites?
Honestly, it's all from memory now. I'd have to hear a song. I don't even remember. Like you said, Superman. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, that Goldfinger song. I literally can't even remember like anything else unless it gets played.
I think it helped me with my music discovery because a lot of these bands I didn't know of like at the time. Like even to this day, like I just know that Goldfinger as the Superman band. But the biggest one probably that spawned me actually enjoying a band was Jerry Was a Race Car Driver from Primus. It was from Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1.
I remember.
Yeah. They had Guerrilla Radio was in there, Rage Song.
Of course.
The one that doesn't get enough love on these lists is the Ace of Spades. The Ace of Spades. What is that? Lemmy and Motorhead.
The only card I need. Yep.
Yeah. So I think.
Oh snap!
I think as long as the soundtrack stays the same, the game sounds the same. I guess they're gonna add like online multiplayer, which is gonna be dope. Like that seems like a game I just want to stream. I just want to drop into like a map, you know, and just bullshit with people and play Tony Hawk like back in the old days. So definitely looking forward to this one.
I hope they do what 343 did with the Master Chief Collection and make it to where you can hit a button and it goes to the old school graphics.
Oh, dude.
And then like you can go to like updated.
You know, and the other thing I was thinking recently about this is I got to find a PlayStation controller because that's what I played it on. And I feel like once you replay a game, I feel like you got to go back to the original source, that controller. So I got for...
I played...
Go ahead.
I played N64.
Oh, did you?
So I got to find the weird ass N64 controller and a mod to get it to work with my Xbox so I could play it. But yeah, the cartridge is blue. The N64, the cartridge is blue.
I didn't even know they made that game for the N64. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What did you play it on, Curtis?
I played it on PlayStation. I you know, probably like most people, I started with the demo disc. And then when the game came out, got the game.
This will be a good one. Expect us to talk more about this one when the game comes out. Like that's got to be a day one buy, at least for me, and that'll be a streaming one. You know, I will put professional Tony Hawk Pro Skater Esports in my Twitter bio. That's the dream at this point. What else? We got some other big news in the world. I mean, obviously COVID going around and we're getting updates on business and all kinds of things, but it's not all terrible in the gaming space. We've already kind of talked about how people are buying more video games than ever, but it looks like according to CNBC, esports and the video game industry is among the few industries that are seeing reduced impact and even still thriving. I guess that the esports job market has a $150 billion gaming industry powering it, and the phenomenon has been evolving through this crisis. Thousands of great jobs are being scored in this one bright spot in the otherwise depressed employment landscape. I saw this, and I guess it's not deteriorating as fast as other industries. But I've still been seeing a lot of cutbacks. I've been seeing a lot of companies part way with players, and you know it hasn't been hitting them as fast, but I don't think it's as bulletproof as I don't know. You guys think? Maybe it's just because I'm in the bubble. What have you guys kind of been noticing out there? Is it tougher on these streets, or am I just kind of oblivious?
I think they put a little bit of spin on it, which, in a weird way, still speaks positively to it. I think some of the spin came from the fact that, you know, like sales and stuff like that from video games and different launches and stuff have still been successful. And I think there still is, you know, quite a lacking in statistics as far as like like esports and jobs, because even like esports job roles and stuff like that, it's still kind of like a newer thing. It's still a little bit like the wild west. So whereas maybe the role of like team manager, like coach or team manager, and then like the players themselves and all that stuff, maybe that is a lot more obvious and clear. Even like in basketball, you got your team, you got your coaching staff, but then behind the scenes roles are different. And to notice turnover, especially in specific roles, oh, this is the person that does the contracts, or this is the person that books the flights, or these are the people that produce the content, so that way the players continue to get promoted, and the marketing person. And I think numbers on that maybe aren't as transparent, or at least aren't as present. So for them, I think they might just be looking at game sales numbers and being like, well, if the games are selling, then everybody should be doing okay. But it's like, yeah, but how esports teams make money and stuff like that don't necessarily aren't necessarily related directly to sales of games and stuff like that. In certain esports, the publisher of the game isn't even fully supportive of the game, if you think about things like Smash Brothers and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there might be a little spin on it, but at the same time, I'm kind of looking at it like, if esports can be looked at all in a positive light, especially by the national media, I'll kind of take it. Yeah.
A couple other talking points was that the job postings on Indeed for esports roles rose 43% during the first 3 months of 2020. Among the largest employers are game publishers such as Blizzard Entertainment, Tencent, and Riot Games, and esports platforms including Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Skills. And then it's saying that IT workers and marketers in this space can make pretty easy six figures. Actually, that's what the headline was. Amazon's Twitch leads a Bloomberg esports six-figure salary job market. I'd like to see where all this money's coming from and where that's going. I want to meet some of those people. I don't know where they're at. I gotta have another conversation with Andy Miller here. But I think maybe that's kind of why esports is not, being destroyed, because the video game market obviously is super close to the esports market. And if the game market is exploding and you have all these kids who aren't going to school, who are sitting at home, looking for something to be involved in, we already know that the boomers don't have their sports. So even some of them are looking at esports a little differently now. So all those kids who, maybe casually paid attention and ran out of shit to watch on Netflix, have something else to watch. And then it is, moved to online. So you have CDL, Overwatch League, League of Legends, all these big leagues, Rocket League still pulling, bigger numbers than they ever have. The thing that feeds esports, I think, is going to be those sponsor dollars, and whether those companies are going to start taking hits. And those are the ones that I think are funding a lot of that's coming from the org perspective. Like if you're a sick programmer or a marketer that gets hired by Blizzard, that's one financial situation. From the org perspective, though, you got to raise money, you got to earn money through sponsorships or tournament winnings and things like that. So every org is going to be completely different. I've seen Team Rival, who I think has a president that lives in our city, Sacramento, just recently got absorbed to Ghost Gaming. So I'm seeing like little moves, and you hear little inklings of this player's becoming a free agent because his price tag was too high and the org doesn't want to re-sign him, and so he's getting shopped around. And so there's all sorts of speculation and rumors. So I don't think it's peachy. I think it's going to get worse if this thing gets stretched out, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as, people have it in the real world at this point. The next one, kind of a similar story. Stream Elements put together a new report that says that there is a huge growth in viewership year over year from 2019 to 2020, piggybacking off that last one. Twitch, for example, has grown 98% year over year in growth. YouTube gaming, 65%. Facebook gaming grew 238%. And then Mixer has not grown at all. Poor Mixer. Like, it's crazy to see the industry growth numbers and to see that Mixer just is not doing anything. Curious,
but they haven't declined.
Hey, that's something, right? You only spent $6 billion to get Ninja and Shroud as your exclusives to hold your ground.
That's the Call of Duty spin, but we haven't declined.
Yeah.
So.
Why won't people watch Mixer, guys? What the hell?
I don't
go
understand
for it, Webb.
because from what I've seen, Mixer is the better platform. It has more ways for the audience to interact. It has better latency, near zero latency. Like it's like, why aren't people using a different brand of tissue besides Kleenex? Because Kleenex says the name. Like, that's the only thing Twitch has going for it, in my opinion. It was there first, and even though Mixer is a better product, they're just kind of falling behind. I don't know.
You want to know what else was a better product, guys? The Zune. The Zune was incredible. And what happened? It somehow still lost out to an inferior product just because of brand recognition. History repeats itself. Microsoft just cannot get a win. Why can't they get this dub? What do you think, Curtis?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, even their community, like, guidelines and rules are a lot more strict. It's a lot less toxic there. I will say this. Aesthetically, it's not appealing. Like, going to Mixer, whether it's the gradient, that gray gradient or whatever that they use, it doesn't look good. There is something very iconic about the Twitch purple, and even their little, the little icon and everything. Not only that, but I think also if you've spent enough time on Twitch, a lot of the people that and that you've become friends with, or you're in their Discord, they're on there. So you kind of go on there expecting to see your friends that are on there. I think, like, I have a Mixer account. I've streamed there one time. It started, like, I was dropping frames really, really bad, and I was like, this makes no sense. What is it about this that's making it do that? I was able to, at the time when you could, you still can, but I was streaming to Facebook, no problem, streaming to YouTube, no problem, but I was streaming there, and it was just wacky. And I was like, you know what? I think they just need to fix some things. But I can tell you, visually, it's not appealing. It doesn't look good. I think even when I heard the name, I was like, Mixer. I thought of I thought of two things. One, being an audio guy, I thought of like an audio mixer.
Yeah.
Which if you like, for me, I'm like, mixers are a necessity, but not necessarily something that I look forward to having to manage.
Yeah.
And then two, I thought about like social mixers, like, hey, let's mix it up. Let's go to a mixer. And I was like, that's like an old name.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Exactly. Okay, mixer. Like, who wants to go to a mixer? You know what I mean?
We all want to drink a shitload of G Fuel and just sit there and twitch, We don't want to go to a mixer.
Thank you. So I think, what's up?
I will say to Curtis's point about the community, when the tail end of when I was streaming, I wanted to make the move to Mixer, try Mixer out. And I kind of put out a tweet like, hey, like, any Mixer streamers, like, what, do you have any tips or anything like that? I got like 3 or 4 of them, like, reached out to me and like talked to me, and they're like, yeah, I'm what's your Mixer? I'm going to go ahead and follow you and stuff like that, which, like, they weren't big. It's not like they were like big level streamers, but you don't see that in the Twitch community, like, not very often, at least. I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah.
But it's such a large community that finding those kinds of people are few and far between compared to Mixer, where, it's smaller, but it's smaller and it kind of seems more close knit. So there's less of that animosity towards other streamers, like stealing, you know what I mean? Like, they're more willing to help out. I don't know. That was my experience.
I feel like
same. It was pretty supportive. People were like really down to follow me, really down to give me advice and all that stuff, and help out. So yeah, I agree.
That's why there's just no people over there. There's just not that many stand-up, good, honest people on the internet. And everybody I've met from Mixer has been fantastic. I remember seeing their first stage pop up at, it was either E3 or I think it was E3. And they had like those little battle robot things.
Yep.
And they were giving away fidget spinners
them from stream.
Yeah, they're giving away fidget spinners, and they were all genuinely excited about it, and they were showing like the power of your viewers can do things that could adjust what was happening in your game, and it was incredible. We watched it, and we were like, this is going to be the next big thing. It's backed by Microsoft, but it's called the Zune Theory. I just don't know what it is. Microsoft can make a home run of a product. Even this new web browser they have, I don't even care what. It's not even internet. What's the new web browser? Didn't they make a brand new one? Edge. It's sleek. I'm sure it's powerful and cool, whatever. But it's just they're just tainted. Speaking of which, Gaming Sense Gaming. I don't know if you guys remember this guy. He is a throwback. Is in the chat right now. How are you doing in the COVID era? Welcome back. We should have him call in sometime. What's going on, Gaming Sense Gaming? Anyways, the next part to this whole streaming thing I wanted to talk about was the games. What games were popping off were pretty surprising. Valorant in April was the first by a lot, followed by Just Chatting, followed by League of Legends, and then Fortnite. So we see Fortnite continuing to slip. Another one that seems to just be hovering around that kind of dovetails into the next story is Grand Theft Auto 5, which took the internet by storm this last couple of weeks. It just goes to show you what a meme can do, what the power of internet culture can do. GTA 5, I don't think has ever been hurting for players. It's got an amazing, support from the dev. Let's just say that, how often they put out these new patches for free and are constantly raising the bar. But I think it was TikTok where this war started. It was the green alien gang versus the purple alien gang. As our resident TikTok specialist, David Webb, have you seen these? And what's the story there? Do you know?
I have not seen those TikToks. I saw a meme with the green alien gang, and I was like, the hell does this have to do with GTA 5? Like, I was like, this must be a mod that I just never seen before. But no, I saw that. I was like, I don't know what this is.
It was like, you can somehow get like a green skin bodysuit, and all these players would pile into a van, and then they would just get out and beat somebody down with like wrenches and stuff, and then get back in the car and go away. And they'd always be playing like super gangster music. And then they started getting more complex. Like they would invite someone to their house, like another player or something like that. And then all these green alien dudes would come out and start beating them down. And it just became like this sensation, so much to the fact that Energy, our content guy Grady, was like, we got to get in game and capture some of this and do something for Energy. And I went in the game, reloaded it, re-downloaded all like 150 gigs of this game to get in there. And the price of that alien skin suit in game was like $300,000. So I was like, Grady, this ain't happening, bro. Unless you're going to let me spend 40 real dollars to buy this stupid suit for a stunt. And then because of the popularity of the meme, they put those two skin suits for free. And I got on with our community guy, Jake, who actually plays GTA. And so me and him loaded into a server together. The first thing that happens, I drive to the clothing store. Before I can get out of my car into the store, an all green van pulls up. A whole squad of green aliens come out and beat me down with wrenches.
Oh!
So this thing was like taking over, and then a purple gang came out of nowhere, and now you have the green versus the purple gang. And then Epic Game Store just blew the roof off this thing by making the game free. And I've been telling you guys every week, Epic Game Store's free games is the way to go. Just go get your free games. And it actually crashed their entire servers. People weren't able to even play Fortnite for a few hours as they were getting it. Hearing about all this kind of crazy stuff, does this, Curtis, man, why are you getting on that free GTA 5?
I mean, it's free 99, baby. I might have to go download it. I got caught off guard by this too. Galen like randomly sent me, like he was like DMing him to me on Instagram, and I was like, "What are these videos, bro?" And he's like, "Dude, I can't get enough of these." He must have sent me like 10 or 12 of them. I was like, "What are you involved in, Galen? Like, do I need to save up bail money? Like, What, like, don't make me drive all the way. I got to take a 2-hour drive to come bail you out. Then I got to explain to Ray, like, we got to put Galen in rehab. He's up here riding around with people in green suits, beating people up. So yeah, I mean, hey, it's free, baby. So I might have to go get it. Might have to throw on see me. I'd be in the purple gang though. You know me. I mean, I got green on right now, but Kings. So
there we
I have
go.
to get the purple gang. That's right.
The next game they're speculating going to be free on the Epic Game Store. Another big one. Usually they tell you what's coming in the next week, and this time it just says mystery game, which has everybody excited. But through the power of the internet and leaks, people are suspecting it's going to be Civilization 6. If anybody has played that one, it's like a turn-based RPG thing. It's kind of hard to explain. Have either of you guys played it?
Mm-mm.
It's kind of crazy.
And the way we were talking about it before the show, and it kind of sounds like it's like almost like an advanced version of Sims meets Risk, maybe.
Yeah, it's like Digital Risk. I remember playing back in the day over 56K Alpha Centauri with my homeboy Derek, and it was like a space version. But basically, you start off as cave people, and you build like a city square. It's actually kind of closer to those real-time strategies, like maybe Command and Conquer, Red Alert. I can't think of any of the other ones off the top of my head. I guess StarCraft, where you're in charge of building like barracks to make army men, and then you can build buildings to build bigger buildings and stuff. But there's like this technology and political element to where other countries form around you, and you could fight for space, and you could eliminate people. You could learn new technologies. Shit could fall out of the sky and teach you, you discover a new element and you could build new things. It's really, really cool and has a competitive scene. Like I have a buddy who has a game set up that he's had for months with his buddies, and they each take one turn per day, and they've had the game going on for like a year. So it's pretty interesting. If that one is indeed free, another recommendation, like there's nothing to lose here. You don't even have to download it. You go in there, you get the key, and then you just have the game forever. Even people were saying, oh, I have it on Steam. Why would I do that? Well, you never know what's going to happen with Steam, and redundancy is a good thing. So if you guys have not done the Epic Game Store, they're not showing any signs of stopping. This is like the second year, and it's really quality games. So get your free games. Just get them. Free games. Here's a good one. Next story. The Snyder Cut officially about to be released. Now, obviously, so this is the Justice League movie, right? I think I saw that one. Did I see the Justice League movie? Curtis, refresh me. What's this one about?
The Justice League movie, of course. Well, it's the movie that, for spoilers, if anybody hasn't seen it yet, I'm sure most of y'all, but it's the movie where Superman's almost not in it really, almost at all until like the very end. Or like, let's say last third of it, but of course, all of them are coming together. Yeah, all of the Justice League finally start coming together because what's his name? Wolf. I was gonna call him Howling Wolf, but Steppenwolf is trying to get his hands on all the mother boxes, so that way he can bring his whole horde to Earth, and they can take over. Which is weird because he already sent some of them before. But that's like one by one, but that's a whole nother story. But ultimately, Superman's dead because he died at the end of BVS at the hands of Doomsday. So yeah, everybody's got to come together. Flash has got to use his. Batman goes around, and Wonder Woman goes around and recruits the crew of the Flash, trying to get Cyborg on board too, because he is very closely tied to mother boxes. Of course, recruiting the guy that talks to fish, and Aquaman, and getting them all together so they can try to defend the Earth against Steppenwolf, and of course, Superman ends up coming back, and we get a hodgepodge of a movie by two different directors. So yeah, Justice League, the movie that actually lost Warner Brothers movie, is money is getting ready to get a re-release.
So Snyder, refresh me. Is this the guy? Is this the touch a boob guy?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Your favorite guy.
Oh, so it's this prick. So apparently he has a cut of the movie that he's been talking about. Like, his movie sucked, his name is on it, but he's like, oh yeah, but there's my cut, right? And then there's this Snyder Cut, and hashtag release the Snyder Cut was released by a whole bunch of people. People bought billboards with it, and actually it's happening, and it's going to come exclusively to HBO Max. He says there's still some work to do to get it there. The film will feature extensive retooling, including additional dialogue with the actors, new visual effects, and the cost is rumored to be somewhere between $20 and $30 million. There's also the chance that the Snyder Cut could be presented as a mini-series instead of a singular movie. Those decisions, as along with many more, still need to be made. I think this is bullshit. I'm just calling bullshit. Just going to call it. I think that this Snyder guy, everything I've heard from him so far just seems like the guy doesn't know what he's doing. He seems like a schmuck. And, I mean, it's easy to say when your movie sucks. You had the weight of the Justice League on your shoulders, and it comes out and it's that big of a flop. Of course you're going to say, yeah, that's not my version. You know, what else are you going to say? You're going to take the L on it and be like, yeah, actually, I just blew it. No, you're going to say, I had a cut.
Drop the ball.
Yeah, nah, I just dropped the ball, guys. Sorry. My bad. No.
That one's on me.
Yeah, you're going to say, I swear to God, I recorded 6 months worth of the best actors and visual effects in the world. I could take this and retool it into something great. He fooled the world. He's going to make it. It's probably going to suck again. And then what? That's what I'm excited for. I want to see this thing explode. I want to see everybody be like, that still bullshit, and have more unanswered questions. What could he possibly do to redeem this thing, Curtis?
You know, here's the weird thing. I'll answer that question, and then I'll kind of tie it into what I was gonna say. What can he do to redeem it? Suggest that they refilm it and rewrite it, and suggest that he have nothing to do with it. That's what they can do to redeem it. Zack Snyder, he's not a writer. He's never been a writer. I go on record to say the best written movie that he's ever done, like, and I know a lot of people would, even I'll say my favorite movie from him is 300, sure, but I don't think that's his best written movie. The best written movie that he's ever directed was the very first movie that he ever directed, which was Dawn of the Dead, and that movie was written by James Gunn. And he didn't write 300, and we know that was adapted from a graphic novel / comic book by Frank Miller. Yeah. So, you know, that's kind of his thing. He's not a writer. So if you take someone who's not a writer, and then you take someone who's heavily influenced by this, you know, the obvious stuff, Watchmen, which he directed, again, adapted from a comic book, and it was a comic book that deconstructed superheroes. And then he's obviously heavily influenced and adapted The Dark Knight Returns, the comic book from the 80s around the same time, which was another superhero deconstruction bit, showing them all, you know, if superheroes were in the real world, you know, they'd really, you know, they wouldn't be so iconic and they wouldn't be so heroic. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's a cool take. Sure, Elseworlds, whatever. You take someone like that and then you give him one of the shining symbol, two of the shining symbols of hope. You give him Superman, and he has him snap someone's neck at the end, and then you lead that over into these other two movies. It's just someone that I feel like doesn't understand. He likes superheroes in one way, and I don't feel like he understands the breadth of them. I don't feel like he understands them individually. He just like superheroes dark, instead of like, what makes Cyborg tick? What makes Flash special and tick? What makes Wonder Woman tick? And then put all those things together. But here's the other part, though. He's not going to be able to reshoot all of it. I heard he wants to finish up some of the special effects. That's what they need the 30 to 40 million for. I hear he wants to reshoot or add some additional scenes. With COVID going on and them wanting to do it in 2021. We'll see how that goes. Plus, all of the actors have pretty much moved on, even if they support the movie. But there is this contingent of fans, and you know, the people that are all about release the Snyder Cut. And I'm all for people being supportive and being behind something and really being passionate about something, but not all of the release the Snyder Cut people. But there are a known core group of them that are very, very fanboyish, and I don't think it I mean, like, if most of them already liked the movie, most of them didn't dislike it. So if they're going to get even more Scott Snyder and less Joss Whedon, who is like the opposite, almost the antithesis of Scott Snyder. I think they're just going to love it even more. But here comes my question, Corey, and actually to you and Webb. They're a very vocal group, but how many of them do you really think there are? And are there enough of them to support this, to make it a success, even if you leave all the normies out that you normally need to make something a success?
I don't know. I think that's a tall order of marketing. When you think about us who are a little more refined, I'll say it, we get off on this stuff. We have a podcast where we talk about which actor's playing what and why and what he played before and if it's true to the comics and all that stuff. But then there's that large majority of people who just don't understand it. Like they'll take their kid to see Deadpool and they're surprised that it's because they don't know it's Fox and that's different from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and that they're different. And so I think you're right. I don't think there is this huge mass population of people. I think the people who went and saw the movie who were just normies probably watched it and was like, that fucking sucked. I'm going to go back and watch the Marvel ones. Why wasn't Iron Man in this anyways? I'm going to go, they don't even know. So right. I don't think they're going to be like, oh shit, it was sucked. And now it's going to redeem itself. I only have to sit through a 5-part miniseries and then it'll be everything I wanted it to be. I think those release the Snyder Cut people were probably mostly doing it for memes. I think you're right. I think this thing could just be more shit, but there's going to be a large contingency of people who are just like, oh my God, it's totally redeemed. And if you don't sit through the 4-part miniseries, you just don't understand. I think it's self-indulgent and weird, and I just hope it loses way more money. I'm going to be straight up honest. I'll watch it because that's what I do. All right. I'll bear that cross. I will watch it, but I hope it falls on its face. What do you think, David?
I have to agree. I don't think that there's enough of the release of Snyder Cut people to make this a success. I think people are going to watch it thinking, kind of like what you were saying, Corey, that people are going to watch it thinking that this is actually, the Justice League that's coming out on HBO Max. And then they're going to be like, wait, I don't remember this. Or why does this seem so long? Or why'd they make Justice League a 4-part miniseries? Like, they're not going to understand what it is and what the significance of it is. So I don't know. I wasn't a fan of the movie in the first place. I can't imagine them being able to add that much to it to make it that much better of a movie. Like I just don't see it. They just don't. The DC Cinematic Universe just didn't have the same punch that Marvel did. And I just don't see how they can come back and redeem themselves.
In quarantine, my wife and I have kind of ran out of series and things to watch, so we are going back and rewatching the Marvel Cinematic Universe in chronological order, based off of what's happening in the movie, so not as they were released. So you start with Captain America. You watch Captain Marvel, Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Thor 1, and you just watch them through in sequence. And it's cool. I'm really enjoying it. But one of the things I noticed was Marvel's casting. Everything that Marvel did in the MCU outclassed everything DC did on a level that's not even this world. And I hate you can't even compare the two. Like, look at Shazam movie. They casted Chuck as their main guy for like a godly character. And Marvel looked at that same actor and was like, he's a throwaway Thor guy, because they have standards.
He was Fandral.
Yeah. He was Fandral for the Warriors 3.
Hold on though. Shazam was not that bad. Shazam was actually a pretty funny movie.
Yeah, but kind of.
It wasn't Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. It could be
I
good.
Do that.
That's fine. But it's the Chuck guy. Don't give him Shazam. We have to blow up his pecs to make him huge. Like, yeah, he looks stupid. Like when I first saw the trailer, I was like, this guy just looks dumb in this big old muscly dumb suit. Marvel was right when they casted him as a throwaway character. That's what you do. You give that big role to Scarlett Johansson. You give it to Chris Evans. You don't give Chuck a lead role, give him his own fucking movie. So, sorry. That's just a thought I was having based off all this crap. But, I mean, it's going to come out. I'll watch it. We'll see what happens. We'll report on it as fairly as possible. But if you're one of these people who thinks the Snyder Cut's going to fix the DC universe, there's a lot more work that's going to go into it than that. The last thing I had here was kind of irrelevant to my interests, but I thought it was big enough because it's kind of interesting. But Ruby Rose is going to leave her role as Batwoman in the next season. So apparently she's just quitting, and they're going to have to recast her. They're not even going to like do the whole, swap her out and continue on with the lore. Have you either of you two still keep up with the CW series, and anybody have any clue as to why she would leave?
I checked out some of Batwoman just because I heard, one, because of how terrible the trailers looked to me, and how cringy some of it looked, and then two, even though I actually like Batwoman, like in the comics and as a character, and Greg Rucka's run on the book is actually really solid. But so I checked it out because of that, and then I heard that it was really bad, and the ratings continued to drop, and all of those things. So those gave me some reasons to check it out, and easily for me, like the worst of all the CW shows, and just about all of them fell from grace. To me personally, as someone who started out, like I watched season 1 of Arrow, like I heard about it the last like quarter of the way through, ended up watching it, and then I watched all the shows from there. And Batwoman, usually they start off with the bang. Even Legends of Tomorrow did. Batwoman did not. But a few things though. One, yes, it continued to get harped on by critics and even by fans. It wasn't just critics. It had a low fan score as well. The people that watched it had some critiques alone. And then also Ruby Rose had gotten injured really, really bad during a stunt, and she had to have like emergency like spine surgery. And there was like a long a recovery process, rehab process that she had to go through. And I think if you take all that and then tied with the fact that, she was in movies before in smaller roles, was starting to get known as a face, takes this hoping that it furthers her career. And unfortunately, it more so just exposed, how her acting chops just aren't quite there yet, almost at all. I think she was like, you know what, let me just, dip out. I've damaged my body. I've kind of damaged my reputation, and maybe some of the roles I could take. It takes a long time to film all those hours of television for all those episodes, 12 to 22 episodes. So I think it was a combination of all of those things.
David, I know you were a big CW show guy. I think you lasted a little longer than me. Did you make it into any of the Batwoman storylines?
I didn't, but when it came out, it almost got me back into it. But then I saw how far behind I was, and I was like, it's not worth it. But, I was excited that they were adding another character, and they were adding, is the potential of like, okay, so we're going to bring the Bat family into this. But one thing I don't think I knew was which Batwoman was she playing? Oh, she was playing Batwoman. I'm thinking Batgirl. Never mind.
Yeah, Batwoman, yeah.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute, hang on. She was playing Batgirl and she got a spine injury? That's a little weird. Is she playing Barbara? Because I don't think anybody should play that role. Nobody should pick that up. Just leave it. It's cursed. Cancel the show. Move on.
Right.
But,
it said,
yeah, no, I never watched it.
She released a statement and said, "This was not a decision I made lightly, as I have the most respect for the cast and crew and everyone involved with the show. I'm beyond appreciative to all these random people for not only giving me this incredible opportunity, but for welcoming me into the DC universe. They have been beautifully created. Thank you to all these other random people." So just a bunch of thank yous. No real reasons. Warner Brothers also put out a statement that says they want to thank her for her contributions to the success of the first season. Wish her all the best. The studio and network are firmly committed to Batwoman's second season and long-term future. We, along with the show's talented creative team, look forward to sharing its new direction, including the casting of a new lead actress and member of the LGBTQ community in the coming months. Is that a big part of the storyline?
Yeah, that she's
I did not know that.
She's lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting though, because I'm curious on how well the DC TV universe is doing. I mean, Arrow ended. I know that much. Flash, I think is still going, but is probably not far behind Arrow. I mean, Flash was only maybe two seasons behind Arrow in terms of the number of seasons. So it's kind of like, how much gas does this train have left in it? You know what I mean? And in a universe that's continually overlooked by the cinematic side, is this something that you really want to put your body, at risk of? You know what I mean? So I don't blame her. If it was a thought that, well, it's possible that this could turn into a movie role. But we've seen time and time again that DC TV and DC movies are two separate things, and so I don't really blame her for just being like, I don't know if this is worth it.
Yet another.
I hear
example.
good things about Stargirl, which is like the newer show, and Jeff Johns, who's a big writer for DC Comics and wrote a lot of the stuff that people like. Helped with the Shazam movie, helped with a little bit of the story on the Wonder Woman movie. He has a lot to do with it, so I hear good things about that. But to David's point, I think the dip in the quality of the shows, I think the damage is pretty much done. If anybody leaves any of those shows, I mean, like, I don't know. As actors, it's not like people are always just handing out gigs, so you want to do really good with the opportunities that you get. But at the same time, like, I think if anybody walked away from those shows at this point, no one in Hollywood is going to blame them.
What is Stargirl? I'm looking at this poster. Is this going to be CW, or is this on their streaming platform?
It's CW, and Stargirl was a part of like the Justice Society of America, in one of the weird timey-wimey, like future go back type ways. But I don't know a whole lot about Stargirl. It was too deep of a cut for me to really get into, and I only had like slight admiration for the Justice Society of America. I never really got into it big, because I mean, to me, as much as I like the Justice League, even those comics aren't always consistent with how good they are. But I hear good things about the show, and it doesn't surprise me, because Jeff Johns is really good about making things very just very family oriented and tugging at the heartstrings. But I don't know, even the costume, the comics looks really cool, because it's different artists doing interpretations and doing dope colors. The costume just looks stupid even in the show, so I'm not going to give it a chance.
If they're getting into the deep cuts where you're having trouble knowing who people are, I have zero interest. They're really scraping the bottom of the barrel with this one. I'm looking at even the actors. That's the thing, man. Just the same thing with the Zachary Levi thing. They make stupid things. They drag things out too far. Look what the Marvel Universe did on their TV series on Netflix. They left everybody wanting more, and they cut it off abruptly. And maybe that was because of Netflix, Marvel, whatever, Disney Plus. Still, like, we're left thinking fondly on those, and they didn't drive them just nose first into the ground. By the time Arrow hit like season 3, I was like, this is so bullshit. Like, there was a finite.
It's Batman.
He's Batman, first of all, and then there's a finite time of blank space, and you keep filling that in with different things. Like, at one point you got to abandon the whole time jumpy thing and just give us what's current. And it's like they couldn't make small adjustments for their own success. I hate shit like that, man.
It gets really gimmicky.
So, I just looked up Stargirl, and I'm looking at the costume. That's female Captain America. You can't tell me otherwise.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's yeah. That's weird.
All right.
Yeah, doesn't look good.
This is devolving just into a DC hate fest, and I'm here for it. I'm going to be completely honest. I hate when I see companies screwing up stuff so bad, and they need to get punished for it. Speaking of getting punished for it, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Video Game Bang. I look forward to being back, sharing more fatherhood stories, slowly changing my opinions on things now that I have goggles on, dad goggles. So I'm excited for this new chapter in life. Got to continue on with the show. Show must go on, and it's going to be interesting just to see how things go, how things change. Maybe some new segments. You know, it's going to get real boomer up in here. I feel like that's one thing being a dad lets me do. If you follow me on Twitter at What's Up Pizzas, I notice my tweets are getting more and more niche, more old. I feel like once you become a dad, stuff just happens to you physically and chemically. Like, I was totally about to take a Zoom call without my shirt on, like this last week. I was late for a call. Andy was like, we're all doing cams. I had no shirt on. I was like, do I want to go upstairs? Fuck it. You know, I'm a dad now. Everyone expects it. You know, I have justification now. I have dad bod. But I ended up putting a shirt on. But I don't know. Things like that. I peed outside yesterday. You know, just dad things. So expect more of that kind of stuff. You can follow me on Twitter at What's Up Pizzas. Watch us on this show, Video Game Bang. David Webb, are you still making the TikToks at least?
You know, I haven't made one in a while. I had an idea for one today that I'm going to try and make soon, with my nephew's action figures. So, because we have a bunch of them here at our house for when we watch them. So I'm like, well, he's not here playing with them, so they're Avengers. So I think I might reenact some scenes from the Avengers.
Let's go.
Action figures.
And how do they find you on the TikTok? I wouldn't even know. There's no URL, is there? Do they have to search something?
I don't think so. Yeah, just search Webslinger. It's just Webslinger on
Two
TikTok.
B's.
2 B's. Webslinger 2 B's.
All right. Curtis, what you got cooking? Oh, Curtis, did we lose you? I think we lost Curtis. Well, I know you can watch Curtis every week here on the Video Game Bang podcast. Can you see me? Nod if you can hear me, Curtis. He can hear us. We can't hear you.
Oh, what's up?
There you are. He's back. Curtis, what you got cooking?
Just reading comics. Actually going to read some comics tonight on stream right after we're done.
Okay.
And that's mostly what I've been doing. I'm getting, as most of the people who are following me on my Twitch channel know, I'm reading through Jonathan Hickman's reading list. So right now we're going through Secret Warriors, which was actually his very first series that he wrote on there. But we're doing it out of order because, of course, I got Tarantino brain. So this leads into S.H.I.E.L.D., which leads into Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four leads into his Avengers run, and then that leads up to Secret Wars, which, you know, got rid of the Ultimate Universe, which he wrote some stuff in there too, and then finally that puts us current on X-Men. So I'm reading them out of order, but I'm reading them. Tune in if you want to read some really interesting and cool comics and see more and more of where anything in the MCU that the Russo brothers had to do with, they always took from Hickman, and that's the only story that they said that they would come back and direct the Secret Wars. So that's their favorite writer.
That's
Tune in.
Interesting. And that's on the Skip and Tosh channel, correct?
Bingo.
All right. Twitch.tv/Skip and Tosh. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Let us know what you thought. Hit us up on Twitter at videogame_bang, on our Facebook, which is actually thriving thanks to our social media manager, Jake Points, holding it down on there. Always has the dankest memes. So go on there if you want to keep the conversation alive. And you can check us out live on twitch.tv/videogame_bang. Right? There's an underscore there, right? I haven't plugged it in.
Yeah, there's an underscore.
Yeah, hang out with us. Talk live. Hang out with Gaming Since Gaming, Lost Sheep, and many other very, very faithful VGBers. Thank you so much for the Real David Webb, for Curtis Fisher. My name is Cory. We will be back next week. You just been banged.